Well, welcome, first of all, to PÖFF, and thank you so much for being here and for giving us the chance to screen your film in competition. This is your second feature film, and it is really important for us, especially following up the big success of your first feature. For the first thing, I would like, hey, how you doing? Hello. We have a new guest.
She was in the film but edited out. Yes,
sorry.
Oh no! I mean, this is an addition to the film crew.
Yes.
One which is very pleased. And so first of all, let's start with the introduction. So who do we have in the room?
She was the dog in the film. She actually played in 3 or 4 scenes in Hungary and in Paris.
Okay.
Because for the director, it was super important to have him in the scene in Paris.
Okay.
And then eventually she was edited out. So she's
no.
pissed actor.
That's why she's looking down.
Yes.
That's why she's looking away. She's not looking at the director.
Yes.
I get it. I understand it.
Yes.
I'm on your side.
Yes.
Okay, and who else?
I'm Julia Berkes. I'm the producer of Bad Poems, and actually this team we also made the first feature together. He had much more roles in the film.
Hi, I'm Gábor Reisz, and I'm the director and writer, actor, composer of the film, of this film called Bad Poems. And I like to say, even if it's maybe too much credit, but I like to say that it's not my film, it's our film.
Of course.
But I can understand that people like to say this phrase that it's a film of somebody.
Yeah.
It's easier to understand it. And we made 4 years ago our first feature film called For Some Inexplicable Reason, and the crew is a little bit the same. It was a really low budget film, and this one is absolutely not low budget, but maybe not a high budget or something. It's an average. I don't want to talk about the budget actually. I don't understand why am I talking about the budget, but
I don't either, but go ahead.
It does help though to understand.
And it's
like,
important
what it
that I didn't sleep too much, and I'm really excited because of the screening. So I will tell a lot of stupid things, or maybe I can't talk.
Hi, I'm Zsofia Tasnadi. I'm the editor, and yeah. I don't want to talk about the budget.
It's actually really good to have the editor also in the room, because when it comes to filmmaking, the relationship between the director and the editor is like really important, because one thing is and in this case, director and writer. So you already have this duality, let's say, inside you, and then you have to communicate with the editor, who's the person who, in the end, puts everything together and has to get in the mind of the director to understand what's the final outcome and how it has to look like, and whether the producer gives or not the approval for some. Or so it's a very complicated, let's say, relationship in a way. But I see that it's already, for example, a relationship that comes from a previous film. So how does this working together started and evolved for this feature film? How would you describe it, let's say?
Should I talk, or do you want to?
Of course.
So we made the first feature together, and that was a really different experience because, as we said before, that it's a really, really low budget film. So therefore, we basically made the whole film in my bedroom, on my edit suite that I just set up there. So it was, but it was a very interesting time because we had all the time in the world, but none of the money, basically. But that made for a very interesting dynamic, I think. and a very friendly crew to sort of form around that, and everybody was really into the story. And the same was true for the second one, even though we had an edit suite sort of for this one. But we had to be more constructive with the time schedule, because we just didn't have all the time in the world. But the relationship was sort of the same, I guess, because I think we know each other so well because of the first feature film. So basically, all the creative decisions you don't have to start from scratch, basically, with someone. You already know what sort of film they want to make.
Sync,
yeah, but obviously it's still very hard to then get to the end of the film and actually make it. It's just a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and the process was really long. Also the shooting days as well. And we started in the middle of the shooting, the editing, because we made 3 main parts.
We shot in 4 seasons, basically throughout the year, 55 days on more than 120 locations.
Wow.
In 2 countries, so it was a really, really long process. And yes, they started editing in between things. Yeah.
That's a big workload. I mean, especially considering the number of locations.
It's crazy.
And,
yes.
And so, how would you say? How was it like moving from your first feature, where you started basically with a no budget production, and then having the success you've had in Karlovy in 2014, and how did that transition, how did that help into moving into this new feature? And as a writer as well, was that a pressure? Because very often when your first feature goes very well in especially in an A-class film festival, that's the pressure is, am I gonna be able to keep up or not? In terms of expectations, but also personal growth as a author.
I started to write this film in Paris at the residence of the Cine Fondation, and around that time it was easy to separate these kind of things, the pressure and stuff like that. And then I went back to Hungary, and something started what was really hard. Not because pressure of the festivals or something. I don't think it's important. Sorry, but it's not the emotion that I get from the people, from my friends, from my family, or people from the street. Because the first feature was really successful in Hungary, and a lot of people really like it. It's like a cult film. They really like it, and it was hard. But in a time, I just realized that I can drop it and just focus on this film. But the first one was a personal movie, and this one is also maybe more. But it wasn't a decision that I would like to make a really personal movie. It was I just realized that I just think about my memories, my childhood memories, and I try to write it. And then I figure out the structure of the film. And we talked a lot with the DOPs, with the crew members, of course with Julia and Zsofia. And that's it. That was the development. Also, we've been in this area. It was also a script development.
Producers.
And with the Hungarian Film Fund. So, but the funny thing that was my first script, because at the first feature we haven't got script. We got some kind of treatment.
Right.
Yeah. So
more like a guideline, more like
a
blueprint.
Yeah, with a lot of improvisation. And in this film we need, because we need a normal budget, so we needed a normal script.
Support.
Yeah.
Some things.
to show something.
And even if we had a script, we changed a lot because of the rehearsals, because of improvisation, because we improvised with the crew as well, not just with the actors. And we changed a lot of things also in the editing process. Yeah.
And you said something that's really interesting in terms of filmmaking. As a festival programmer, I get asked very often, how do I make the film so that it's festival friendly, or how can I get selected to it? And very often it's just, as you said, if when you worry too much about that, and you have the pressure to fit in a specific box for a film, you just make something that the festival doesn't want.
I had something because of the Cine Fondation residence. So we've been in Cannes and we saw this totally crazy world, and I saw that everybody would like to be there or in a really important festival. But the last few half year, I think it's not a question. It's maybe it's important because of your career, but if you see that what is the reason that you would like to make film, it's not a question, of course.
Yeah. It's for the film to be seen.
Yeah.
And when you start to think in festival terms, you do a disservice also to yourself when you're making the film, because then festival programmers see the film and they don't recognize the blueprint of the, let's say just the fingerprint of the director, and it doesn't have a soul. Whereas watching your film, you can see a pattern, or you can see an identity also compared to your first film, and it's clear that you're not trying to emulate or you're not trying to follow suit the lead of some other director. And that's what, for example, for us personally, it meant a lot in the moment of the selection. We could see your touch in terms of irony, in terms of dealing with the topic in a light way and sometimes, and then go down again into more dramatic, let's say, aspects of the life. And that was very interesting for us, and it was something that definitely led us into deciding to invite you, and we're very excited and very happy to have you, especially because I really do believe that this is a film that is perfect for the audience, and it's something that hopefully will be also perceived well in your home country and everywhere else in terms of distribution. And we're very short on time, unfortunately, so we can't go on, but I do wish you all the best in terms of visibility, especially visibility in sales, and so that you can also recoup some money to go into the third feature, hopefully. And thank you so much for being here and for having accepted our invitation.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.